and Janis Joplin out of Texas and out to Los Angeles to get a record deal and so on. So he was a cool guy. And so Don Ellis had come to town for some Epic Records thing. Epic was, of course, Columbia Records. And so he introduced us, and they let me make a single and didn't do anything. Then they let me make another single, but we cut 10 songs out of the budget, and it became my first record, Hanging Around the Observatory.
What did it mean to be on that particular record label at that time?
Well, I mean, I was just thrilled to have a record label. I didn't really have a consciousness of, big whoop, but I did know that, Columbia was, all of my big heroes seemed to be on Columbia, Bob Dylan and, John Hammond Jr. and all these cool acts, that I really liked. So, yeah, I was kind of proud.
You went to MCA in 1979. Yeah. How did that transition? What was that transition for you?
Well, I made 2 records for Epic, and then that was while I was in Nashville. And I left Nashville in 78, came in 71, left in 78 or 77, somewhere in there. Lived in San Francisco for a year and then got down to L.A. in late 78 and hooked up with this guy, Denny Bruce, who managed Leo Kottke, as a matter of fact. He took me on and got me a seating with some MCA guy whose name escapes me, and they agreed to make a record with me. And, I was so fortunate that all these different record labels, gave me a shot. And I didn't really know what I was doing. And they kind of didn't know what to do with me. And I understand that because I wasn't clearly focused on what it was I was doing. So just having the opportunity to make records, I look back on it and I go, man, you were lucky.
Tell me about the song Across the Borderline. I think it was a co-write that you had, and it got picked up by and played by a lot of different people over the years.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's the life of that song. Ry Cooder and myself and Jim Dickinson, my old friend Jim, Luther Dickinson.
You ended up
Cody Dickinson's
doing
dad.
a record with him, Master of Disaster.
Yeah, 2005. A wonderful man, and we miss him. Yeah, a co-write it was for Ry's. He was making that soundtrack album for the film The Border. Jack Nicholson and I can't remember the female lead, but and that song we wrote that for that film. I guess it speaks to a lot of different people, a lot of situations. It's about crossing lines and thinking you've gotten somewhere and you just brought yourself with you, kind of deal. It's like, oh, well, here I am again. And just trying to get free. And
well, you ended up getting free of MCA and ended with Geffen.
Well, MCA dropped me. That's how I get out of these things. I get dropped like a bad, boyfriend. And, it was a great 78, 79, 77, 8, 9. It was such a wonderful time for rock music, and all these great bands were coming out of New York, and, the Ramones, of course, New York Dolls, bands like that, and television and all these cool. It was like a breath of fresh air from, what was popular and getting airplay. And so all of a sudden it got exciting. And I got all involved listening to the Stiff Records people, Reckless Eric, Lena Lovitch, of course, Elvis Costello and Nick Lowe, Rockpile, and all those guys. And I was just so, I just thought it was so great and definitely influenced by it. So I made 2 records for MCA kind of during that time. I had little bands, and we played around L.A., and L.A. was, in those days, you had bands like X, the Motels, Los Lobos was just starting to kick in. All these cool bands. There was a band called Code Blue. They were awesome. And there was a great club scene. It was like a heyday for a lot of us. It was like there was a great local scene, great music in the air. It was just another one of those sort of intoxicating kind of moments, that I was lucky enough to be alive in and in the place when it was happening.
Tell us about your friendship with Rosanne Cash.
Well, Rose is a sweetheart. She's a great person, great woman, and just a great singer-songwriter. I love her voice. Just does something to me that she's great. When I moved back to Nashville, this is great because Lilly, you were with me. I had Lilly. Lily's mother had died, so it was just me and Lil. I went to a party at Rose and Rodney's house, I think it was. And they were just so, and I had Lily in my, she was 2, not quite, and I had her in my arms, sort of, waltzing her around the room, and everybody was so sweet and kind of welcoming us, back into the community. And Rose and Rodney especially were very, very kind and open-hearted. And so, that was kind of like, okay, I'm back home, and Lilly and I are going to be okay. That was how I felt. So it was good.
So Roseanne Cash.
Oh, yeah, she recorded a song of mine. I forgot.
It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, she did. Oh, that's right. She did too. Wow. I'd forgotten. Did she do It Hasn't Happened Yet? Yes, she did. But she also did The Way We Make a Broken Heart, which was the only number one record I've ever had. Thank you, Roseanne. It was the number one country single, and I was, that's fun. It's fun to be number one anywhere. Number one fan is good.
It's when you get the mailbox money, right?
Well, it was great. I mean, geez, I couldn't raise these kids. I mean, my songs were my how I earned a living, and very proud to do so. And it's kept us alive and schooled and, flourishing as a family, and so it's been wonderful.
1987, Bring the Family was the record you did.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty successful album for you.
Yeah, as you said, I've been dropped from Geffen. Did I say that? Did we get that far? I've been dropped from so many. I went out to meet my A&R guy at Geffen, and while I was in the office with him, one of the big guys came down and said, or no, he called the guy I was in the office with to talk about the new record, and then the guy got off the phone. He said, "John, I don't know how to tell you this, but you've been dropped." He didn't know it. And so... Anyway, he took me up to the big boss, and Ed, I can't remember his last name, and he said, "Yeah, I'm so sorry, but we let you go." So they paid for my room and my flight, so that was nice. And so I went home. I was newly married. Lilly and her stepbrother, Rob, who was 8 at the time, all of a sudden they were under one roof, and my wife, Nancy. And so I was newly married, 2 kids, and I didn't have a job. So it was exciting.
Time to write an album.
Yeah, baby. So I went on the road. I still could do some work, and I played little clubs, and basically the same as I'd always done. I drove myself, just like Lily's doing now. A lot of, you just get in and go and play the gig, get what you can money-wise, and hopefully it's enough to get to the next gig. It's that kind of thing. And so, I was doing that, and I had a family, and they loved me, and I loved them, and that was important. That's what makes everything else good.
Can you tell us about your song, Have a Little Faith in Me?
Yeah, it was, I was saying something along the lines, I got this song, I don't know, let me just play it on the piano. And so I went out and played it, and he rolled tape, and that was the take. That's how it got recorded solo.
Really?
I was just kind of...
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's neat.
Yeah. So.
What's something else that Lilly doesn't know?
Oh, my God.
Sure, there's plenty.
Well...
What's something that you do know? Do you remember your dad writing any songs in front of you?
Yeah, I remember seeing him work on things, and he always had everything on yellow legal pads. So I was like, I'm going to get those too. And then I moved on to the laptop or whatever. But yeah, I remember, I don't remember specific song, but I remember watching his career ascend, and I remember every album era. It's kind of how I've defined my life, I remember when he was making Perfectly Good Guitar. I remember when he was making Bring the Family, even though I was really little. I remember all those things, and it's a cool way, it's a cool documentation to have, because I hear his music, and it really is, kind of the soundtrack of my life. So it's neat.
John and Lilly Hiatt, our guests today on Music Business Radio. More with them when we return.
Hey guys, this is Dave Barnes. My life was crazy. I couldn't figure anything out. I'd play shows and nobody would show up. I forget my guitar sometimes, but then I started listening to Music Business Radio and everything changed. Thanks, guys.
Lightning 100 presents Drive-By Truckers.
6 by 9 counting down, and one after the other they'll go running.
Drive-By Truckers live in concert October 30th, Ryman Auditorium. Tickets Tickets on sale now through the Ryman box office and all Ticketmaster outlets. Drive-by Truckers.
Somebody's got a mop up for A1. Somebody's got a mop up for blood.
With Houndmouth. Sponsored by Nissan, proud partner of Ryman Auditorium.
And she's clean of a crowd that you could not commit. No. Well, I did what I did, and I do it all over again. Yeah.
Hey, this is Ricky from the Wild Feathers. You're listening to Music Business Radio, your backstage pass to the biz.
You're listening to Music Business Radio. Our guests today, John and Lilly Hiatt, both singers, songwriters, based in Nashville, Tennessee. It's so great to have you here on the program. It's got to be exciting for you, John, to have one of your kids following in your footsteps.
It is. It's wonderful, but these kids are they're quite a set, and they are all so close with each other, and they mean so much to my wife and I, and they inspire us constantly. Lily inspires me as a songwriter, and her brother Rob is a very inspirational kind of guy, and Georgia Ray is just inspires us all to greater heights, and she's she's just holding all kinds of talents, and all three of them are just real go-getters. And Lily, Lily just kind of snuck up on us with this music thing when she was 16. She was in a talent show at her high school, and we'd kind of heard her in a bedroom, earlier on, kind of messing with music, and really didn't, just thought, well, she enjoys it, and that's good, that's nice. But then she comes and sings Wild Horses and Angel from Montgomery at this talent show, and we were like, oh, she's really good.
Yeah. No, I've always written very quietly in my bedroom, and I still do things that way. I'll bring stuff to my band. They're like, oh, you got all these songs. And I still have that approach where it's like very quietly on my bed. It's where I make my songs. And then when I'm ready, I'll show them to you.
That's awesome. So did you write all the songs on your first record and on this upcoming record?
I did, yeah.
Have you done any co-writing?
I have done, that's something I'd like to learn a little more about. I don't ever see myself, like Dad was saying, I don't know how to write for other people because it's really just a way of coping for me. So I don't know if I could intentionally write for another, but I do think there's something to be said in the art of co-writing. And I wrote with my friend Tommy Womack, and that was really successful and really fun. So it's kind of like going on a first date where it's like, I don't know you very well. Like, let's have some coffee and talk a little before we start spilling our guts out. So, but I would like to learn more about that because I think it opens some things up in me.
You just finished recording your second album. What did you learn from the experience you had recording your first album that you took with you into the studio the second time around?
Well, that's a good question because they kind of took two completely different approaches. The first time around, the band knew all the songs. We had played them together. This time around, they learned about 12 of them, in the last 2 days. But I did learn the same group of people who I consider my band, even though they all play in a lot of different bands. But we've got a thing together, and I knew that I wanted to take them all with me to the next endeavor because we have a trust, and the third eye opens when we're all in a room. So that was really cool, and I just learned to be open-minded. I remember that from the first go-around, and patience, and we had a blast. So.
And who are the people?
Well, it's Beth Finney plays guitar with me, and John Radford plays drums. Jake Bradley plays bass, and Luke Schneider is on pedal steel. They really inspire me, so I have a really great time creating with them.
Well, we don't have any of those people here today. Your dad's here.
Yay.
John, do you want to play along with Lily and maybe do one of those songs here on the show?
Yes.
What song should we do?
I think we should do Somebody's Daughter.
I think that's great.
Fit.
I think that'll fit. I love this song.
And I'm going to play it on the guitar that my dad gave me, which is the guitar I learned to play on.
Oh.
My little baby Martin.
How about that?
That used to be yours. That when he saw, he said, I can't believe I gave you that. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Well, hello, California. This is where it began. I was lying by myself. She had it all in her hands. To the Delta with my daddy, then to Tennessee. I ain't looking
for a savior, just trying to pay me, 'cause it ain't in the water.